right, welcome back to VRJuice. Today I'm going to show you a little bit of how I make interference, and I use this really cool program called Tvori. It's just some VR software that lets you, create scenes, animate characters, create environments. It's a lot of fun, and I'd recommend it. So here I will be showing you the first shot that will be in chapter 3, and this is me setting up the new Jimmy. He ends up getting some clothes, so spoiler alert, he won't stay naked, sorry. And he's gonna be walking out of this room, and it's kind of like a bathroom, I guess is what it's supposed to be, a washroom, restroom. And he's going to thank the doctor for the clothes and be like, hey, I've got a whole bunch of questions. And we'll have little tiny Tim run up to him and just be cute and adorable, kind of jump up on him like, I love you, Jimmy, that kind of thing. So right now I am just kind of recreating what Jimmy looked like in the first episode. Wasn't sure exactly how to port him over from the other level, but I figured it wouldn't take too long, so threw him back together. I kind of looked at reference for what his shirt color was, his hat, he's wearing glasses, and we can build him again. It can be better. So in Tvori, you can, it comes with some pre-made little props, some clothing for your character. But now I guess they've opened it up to the community. A whole bunch of people can contribute, create a whole bunch of various props, models that can be used. So that's great. Makes it easier for me because I just like to grab and go. This is a quick project. Very animatic, sketchy. Yeah. So here I'm just placing the hat, scaling it, looking around, making sure it looks right. And yeah, I'm just putting some music in the background, some music I've made back in the day. Tvori doesn't really have a lot when it comes to sound effects. It has some little pops and things when you're using the menu, but it doesn't happen too often. Alright, and I just straight up color his body sections to define the shirt and jeans and shoes. Color him kind of a pinkish, color. What you're seeing in the background is kind of what was left at the end of episode 2. All the characters are kind of in their position, and I'm just gonna kind of build off from there. I'll move the characters around when I start animating and kind of put them in their positions, set up my shot. Really, there's a lot of things you can do to define your character, and I've just only scratched the surface. People can create some really interesting designs. This Tvori has a lot of, and I hope I'm saying that right. Tvori has a lot of options, a lot of power to it, and I think it's a great tool for creating animatics, setting up previs kind of stuff. And I thought it would be cool to use just to try to pump out some quick storytelling keep it very rough, animatic style. Try not to worry too much about all the details, and that way I can actually pump out some chapters here, because I think the time I've spent in this program, and I think I saw I've used it for 11 hours total. 11 hours isn't a lot when it's when you're making an animation. So see, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. I'm just looking off into space. Okay. I accidentally left the mouse cursor on the screen. Didn't mean to do that, but since this is just a rough, behind the scenes kind of thing, didn't think it mattered too much. I think a lot of this I could probably just fast forward through, so let me do that. All right, coloring his jeans, shirt, getting his shoe color here. After this, I will kind of set him into his position, try to get some of the other characters in their position, although this shot only has Jimmy and his dog Tim. Oh, fun fact. So when I first made chapter 2, I was going to put Tim, the dog, into like a little puppy crate, and the doctor was going to open up the crate and Tim would run over to Jimmy. But then I realized, in the first episode, Jimmy's freestyling about puppies and cages, and I was like, I can't put a puppy in a cage. Fast forward. So a lot of things I do in this, I'm not sure if it was intended to be done this way. So I think I kind of have a sloppy work method, but I figure if it works, it works. I kind of just like animate, and I grab the characters and pull them across to get them from one place to another between shots. Kind of have little buffer zones. So here I just kind of move the doctor over to his desk. This new Jimmy doesn't have any animations or anything, so I can just move him around, set him into his starting place, and then go from there. Then I'll move Tim over a little later. Won't be animating Oscar at all, or the doctor. So I snapped, the glasses, the hat, to the rig, to the segments of the head. That way, whenever he moves it around, it stays with him. Just kind of putting him in his starting position for the shot. Now here I'm recording the motion. I just kind of move my controller around, moves his head. It's a very short shot. So, and usually I pop in audio and I can sync, the movements to the audio. I didn't do that here. I didn't have the audio with me. And so this is me just kind of guessing. But since I knew it was a short shot, short audio section, I figured I could wing it. If you stay tuned to the end, I have the first little shot with audio. So you guys get a tiny little sneak peek at chapter 3, and I hope to get it done in the next couple weeks, hopefully. Preview window to be able to watch, move the timeline around. It's great just to really quickly preview what you've done. Here I'm going to animate his hand. It's a little hard to see with this angle, but I kind of, with my controller, I can kind of, you know, figure how I'm going to move it and what I think would be natural for this shot. The one thing I find that it's a pain in this program is creating a walk cycle. Having the legs move and like the feet sliding on the floor, it looks awkward. So I think a lot of my shots I lean towards not showing the walking, or if I do, it's just like the top half of the body and can't quite see that the legs are wigging out. Although I think it looks kind of funny, and I like funny, so I'm sure there'll be some shots in the future. I kind of get a Team America kind of vibe, just like this awkward puppeteering, and I think, you know, you got to embrace it at a certain point. Doing a little hip movement while he moves, just to add a little more, you know, flow, a little more body motion. Now he's like looking down because he's like, oh yeah, I got new clothes on. Kind of patting his shirt and thigh a little. Oh, I think I decided I didn't like his hand motion, or I wanted to change something about it. He kind of gestures out, which I think is just a great way for, like, oh, I'm talking to you, I'll kind of talk with my hands, not my mouth, because I don't have one. Still have the original Jimmy over there petting his dog, just frozen. But here I am going to grab little Tim. And Tim, I created a very basic rig. No, you know, skeletal structure or anything. It's just different shapes, and I kind of parented the legs to the torso. The torso is like the main segment. Everything's kind of connected to that. And the legs are just like capsule-like objects that wiggle. I just wiggle legs. They're very straight. Same with the tail. Ears are just discs that I've kind of scaled a little bit and try to make them flop when I animate. I guess I could tell you that this Jimmy and Tim was inspired by something I made back in college. This little comic I drew, very rough and sketchy, kind of like Interference. And it revolved around those two characters and just craziness. Aliens were invading the world. But when I started creating this show, I wanted to expand onto that, use those same two characters, changed a lot of things, and tried to create a more encompassing story. I have a good idea what's going to happen, you know, overall, big picture kind of thing, but in my head, I only have maybe the next 2 or 3 episodes charted out, you know, kind of like shot for shot, what I want to happen, you know, information to convey. What I'm doing here with moving the chair, this plate with some chips and guac, I just wanted to set up the next shot a little bit. So, spoiler about that. The chips and guac is a community-made model. I liked it a lot, so I put it in there. You might even see I hid the Futurama main base. Somebody made that, put it back on that like shelf in the background. Somebody made that, and I was just like, let me throw that in there. I try to include a lot of like pop culture, well, not pop, like movie references, movies I've really liked, shows, things like that. Like the opening shot of Interference is Forrest Gump-ish, you know, and I've tried to just like here and there just inject as a tribute, you know. All right, so for Tim, little Timmy here, I just wiggle these legs. Start at a certain point on the timeline, wiggle the legs for a while. And you got to do all the motion first of all the parts of Timmy before you move the main segment, because it's hard to move those legs while the torso's moving without it wigging out. So here I'm just gonna animate all the legs, wiggling and jiggling, whale wagging, ears a flopping. And as you can see, perfectly in sync the way a dog walks. Whew, it is hot. I'm out in my car. It's lunchtime. I'm at work. I work a full-time graphic design job, and I just kind of work on this stuff in my meantime. And I'm kind of just watching the video on one phone, recording with another. It's hot. See, I think I'm having a little difficulty selecting the segment I want to. Oh, there we go. Sometimes there's a little bit of weirdness. This one I'm kind of outstretching a little bit, like Timmy's pawing, like, hey, touching his leg kind of a thing. I do all these motions, and I just hope it kind of works out and looks good in the end. I have an idea of when Timmy's going to be getting Jimmy and jumping up on him. Tim is the only one with a nose. I made sure to include a little doggy nose. Originally, Tim was based off, well, the original Tim was, let me start over. So originally Tim is a white dog with black spots from my comic that I made. But for this, I made Tim a little brown dog inspired by my own doggie. And she is gorgeous. Here's a picture of her. This is her as a puppy. Anyway, little chocolate lab puppy. And I was like, I gotta pay tribute to that puppy, so. All right, here I think I found a one of the segments that's supposed to stay inside Timmy is just white, and it's kind of popping out Timmy's butt, so I need to just color it so that it won't look strange. So yeah, that's good enough. All right, so we got all the limbs, the ears flopping, tail wagging, and colored that anus ball. So here we go. I'm going to set up the puppy walk, puppy run over to Jimmy, and soon this shot will be done. I'm trying to scale myself so I can do it all with one arm movement. Okay. And bam, just one take. I got lucky with this one. I think when I was, right after I did that and I was watching this, I couldn't be happier with how well Timmy's little approach looks. I was playing with the idea of giving Jimmy some new clothes, but I was like, maybe I should keep them looking the same. A lot of shows will keep the characters wearing the same clothes, cartoons especially, just so they're more recognizable, especially from a distance. You're like, oh, I know who that is. So stayed with the green shirt, kind of like a teal hat there, blue jeans, white shoes. I think when I made him naked in chapter 2, I was like, people need to know who this is, so I had to do the transition scene. Wanted to see what other models they had here. Add something in the background maybe to, give the scene a little more detail. And then I saw this green drill, and I was like, I should get that. Let's put the green drill in there. Figured the drill's like over near this power box thing on the wall, sciencey doodad stuff. Now I think it's got a drill bit on it, but if it had, Phillips head, something or other, maybe it would be used to take off metal plates or seal up something. I'm not sure. But I figured a drill on the ground would be exactly what would be in this underground bunker. Drills are very handy. Here's the camera that I'll be shooting with. I'm changing the field of view a little bit to see, how I like the cropping. I was just checking out some of the other features of the camera, see if there's something I was missing or I wanted to do with this shot, but it's a static shot, so nothing too fancy needs to be done. You can do camera animations, keyframe animations, have something go from point A to point B on a linear line or with curves, so there's a lot of flexibility with that kind of stuff. Or you can just, hold the camera and, do shaky cam style or, handheld camera look to it, which is nice. Alright, that's pretty much the shot I want. I try not to spend too much time, so once I'm at a point where I'm like, it's good enough, I want to get it out the door. Alright, here we go. I save it out. You can set your settings, what resolution you want it saved at, how many frames per second, and yeah, boom. Enjoy.
Yeah, thanks for the close, Doc. Oh man, I have a million questions.